Hey everybody, Mike here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to a new video in Keyshot 2023, .1 Pro to be exact. But it doesn't really matter what version of Keyshot you have, you should be able to follow along regardless, right? Now, today we're going to be talking about how to manually set up a studio environment with lighting so you can render out products. And although there is a feature called Studios now in Keyshot 2023, up here, we're not going to do that. We're going to cover that in a future video. I want you to be able to do that process completely manually first, and then we'll cover that in a later stage, right? Now, in order for me to set this up, I want to have a prop in my scene, and I also want to have a number of windows open. So first I'm going to go up to Windows. I'm going to go to Library and click on Materials. The shortcut for that is M if you want to use that. And then we're going to go to Windows and Project and Scene. So on the left hand side I have my materials and whatnot, on the right hand side my scene. And as you can see, the only thing I have right now in this model set is the camera, right? So I'm going to go and bring in my vase. This is a free model you can download, and I'll put a link here below if you want to have the exact same setup. And we're going to go to File, we're going to go to Import. We're going to click on the vase. Here we go. We're going to click on Open. And let's see. Let's do a quick import. And click on Import. And there you have it. Alrighty. Now, this is the one we're going to be using. For now, I'm going to go in there and click on the little eye thingy. So we're just going to hide it for now, right? Well, we know it's there. Now, let's go and set up our scene. Let me say first that you have the ability to bring in external walls, floors, and whatnot. If you prefer to do that in, for example, Maya and bring it in, you can. But you have the option to do that in Keyshot as well. So we're going to go up to Edit. We're going to go to Add Geometry. We're going to go to Plane. And there you have it. We're going to make sure that we have Scale turned on in our Move tool. And as we start to drag this guy, and it's we're quite far out, but you can see there it is. All right. I could have just typed that in. It would be a bit quicker, but it's fine. All right, so there you have it. Yeah, so that's our floor. So we're going to go in here and we're going to click on it, change the name, and hit enter. I want a duplicate for that I'm going to use as a wall. So I'm going to right click and go to duplicate. And again, we're going to change the name there. We'll call that wall, hit enter. That one we want to rotate. So turn that on. We're going to hold down shift. We're going to flip it up like this. Then we're going to turn on translate. We're going to move it back. And we're going to move it up a little bit. Like that. That should be fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in kind of a stand or a something to put the vase on. So we're going to go and add a cube. There you have it. And then what I want to do is see this from the front view so I can see if it all looks okay. So I'm going to click on OK on this guy. I'm going to go up to, let's see, actually to camera. We're going to go to standard views. Let's go to our front view. And then we're going to zoom in a little bit. And kind of have a look what that would look like. It would be something like this. Now we don't have any materials yet. We only have the default lighting, so there's not much going on. But this is what we want for now, yeah? Okay, so next up we're gonna add an object that will simulate our lighting. So we're gonna attach lights to an object, and that's gonna be our lighting panel, if you will, right? Or panels, I should say. So we're going to go back up to Edit. We're going to go to Add Geometry. We'll do another plane. We're going to pull that up. And we're going to hit Rotate. So hold down Shift. And I'm going to put this one absolutely straight. We're going to move it over here. I'm going to move it down a little bit. And if I hit O on the keyboard, you get a kind of an overview of the scene here. Right? So that's the floor, that's the wall, that's our cube, and here we have that little panel, yeah? Now I want to increase the size of that panel, so we're gonna go in here and we're gonna make sure that we have scale turned on, right? And then we're gonna go in here and let's see, I'm gonna make it longer, like so. And the exact position and all that is something that we can cover later. But this is the one I want for now. And let me be consistent, going back to the scene and giving everything the proper name. So floor, wall, cube. This is going to be, let's see, we'll call that light R for light right. Yep. Then we're going to go in here, we're going to duplicate this guy. And we are going to move it over here. And actually we'll go to tools, get that back, move this over here. I'm going to hold on shift, I'm going to flip it around. Bring that up, and then I'm going to rotate it again at an angle, something like this, and then I want another duplicate, and that one's going to be at the top there, so I'm going to click on OK. So we got this guy, which will be light left, and then let's see, we'll take the first one and we'll duplicate that one again, and we're going to go to duplicate, and that's okay. And actually I need to move that, of course, so we're going to bring that over here, we're going to rotate it, we're going to bring it up, and we are going to be playing around with the position and whatnot, but for now I'm going to push it back a little, and then I'm going to change the angle somewhat, something like this. All right, okay, so now we can turn back on our vase, and there you go. We're going to click on OK right here. We're going to go to our camera environment, we're going to go to standard views, we're going to go to front view. Of course, this guy is way too big, so we're going to select it. And we are going to make it a lot smaller. Where to go? Yep, so we're going to scale it down. And we want to move it down, and the cool thing is you can in here say snap to lower object, right? So if I click on that, it will automatically position itself on the pedestal, the cube, the whatever you want to call it. Yeah, right, cool. Now that we have all that, we're going to start working on materials and lighting and whatnot. Now first I want to set up the camera. I want to have the correct position where I think that's going to be fine for my render. Okay, so we'll probably have something like this, and then I'm going to have a very slight tilt so we can kind of see on the top there. And then in the camera tab here, I'm going to go in, change some settings, and I'm going to lock it, right? So the distance, let's see, we're going to set the camera target. We're going to click on this guy, and then we're going to click on the middle of our vase. That's where I want my target to be, right? We're going to click on OK, and I might need to change that angle a little bit. All right, then next perspective view, I want to leave that alone. Let's see, everything else is okay here. Let's see, field of view is fine. It's set to a 50mm lens, which is fine, I would say. If you want to get more close, like a portrait kind of thing, you could set it at 80, right? I think I'll do that, and other than that, I'm going to leave that alone. Then the depth of field, if you want to do that, and I think that's always very cool. I'm going to set the focal distance. I'm going to click on this guy, and then I'm going to set the focal distance right there, which will automatically do that. And then the f-stop, because I want to have some depth of field in the back, I'm going to set that to 1.2. Hit enter, and that all seems to be okay. And here on the left in our overview here, you can see the setup, right? We have the wall, we have the floor, we have our lights, we have the camera and whatnot, yeah? So now we're going to start to play with some materials. So we're going to go to, we're going to close our geometry view down. We're in our material overview. We're going to go to, initially I'm going to go to plastic for the floor, right? So plastic, I want it to be hard surface. I want it to be somewhat rough, right? And then we're going to take this and drag it here, and take this and drag it here. Now, is that connected? Yeah, it's connected, fine. Then for the pedestal or the cube or whatever you want to call it, I want to have a very shiny metal because it's going to be a glass vase and I want it to be reflecting in the pedestal there. So we're going to go to metal, and let's have a look here. We're going to go for chrome, basic chrome, apply that right there. And it doesn't look like chrome just yet, but it will, no worries. Then we're going to go to glass. And I want solid glass. Not quite sure why it's not looking for that, but I'll do it manually. And somebody for sure will tell me that's because I'm doing something wrong. Anyway, we're going to go with solid glass. So we're going to put this guy on our vase here. And then before we move forward, we're going to double click on the vase here. And we're going to go and change the refractive index. So glass would be in the range of, I think, 1.42. If you're in the range of crystal, it would be 1.52. So let's do 1.42. Roughness 0, I don't want any roughness on that. Glass solid is fine for now. I do want to go in here and maybe change the size just a little because I think it's still quite large, right? I'm going to go back to the move tool. Let's scale that down just a bit. And then we're going to go and snap it to the lower object. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So now it's time to start working on our lights. Yeah. So we're going to go to our materials and we're going to go and type in area light. And then we're going to take this guy and we're going to go in here in our overview of the scene. And we're going to take that and we're going to drag it to our lights. So we've got one there. We got one there. And we got one there. Now, we're not seeing a lot of effect here because the default lighting is still on. So we're going up to the environment where we have this guy right here. And it says brightness, and we're going to push that all the way to 0, right? So now the only light we have are the 3 panels. And we're going to start to tweak them. So I'm going to go to my scene. I'm going to go to the first one, which is this one. We're going to double click on it. And we're going to increase the power quite a bit. First, I'm going to change the color because we took that first one, which is a bit bluish, and I want this to be white. So push that to white, click on OK, and then we're going to increase that power a lot. Let's go to, let's say, 30,000, right? Okay, cool. Samples, I'm going to go up a little bit. We're going to go to 16. Now, if you're wondering what sample number that should be, right? If I go up here to, let's see, where was that again? View, heads up display, yeah. Okay, so here it says samples 11, 12. It's kind of calculating what it needs to set this up, right? It's like 16 right now, 17. And once this is all said and done, it will have a certain sample number, right? And it's even going up still, but it's going to be a combination of, we're going to have a setting of samples on the lights, we're going to have a setting of samples on the render as well, right? And the render will probably be somewhere in a range of 300 samples, so it's kind of a calculation between the two. So I don't know, we'll leave this at 16 for now. Okay, then we're going to jump to our next light, which will be this guy. And power, again, 30K, 16 on the samples. All right, and then we're going to go to the last one. And again, 16 on the samples. And we're going to go in here and we are going to set that to 30 as well. Now we're not going to leave all of these at 30. This is just to have an indication of the position of the lights, where they are, and so forth, yeah? And now it's time to tweak the settings. Now it's calculating its little heart out, right? Which is fine. The reason why it's blurry, by the way, is I moved it and we have depth of field turned on. So let's go back here. I'll adjust that in a minute once we're happy, right? Okay, so it doesn't look bad, but again, we need to have strong light from one direction, you know, kind of a triangle setup, yeah? So my main light's going to be on the right. My left light needs to be quite a bit less, let's say 10K. And also go in here and you can change the light color if you like. I think I'm just going to leave it at white, right? Okay. And then the top light, which is going to be this one. And let me just change the name there. All right. So the top light, we're going to go in here. And let's see, samples is 16, that's fine. We'll bring this down to about something like that. I would say about 8,000, right? And again, you can go in here and change that color. All right. Now, not bad. I think it's a little bit bright though. So we're going to go back here. And we're going to go to this one, and let's bring that down a little bit. I don't want anything to blow out. So let's say 20K. Okay, cool. So now that we have a basic setup, we can go in here and go back to our depth of field, focal distance. We're going to put that right there. And as you see, it immediately starts to focus. We're going to click on OK. Cool, cool. And then what we're going to do is we're going to consider changing the color of our background, right? So we're going to go to materials. We're going to go to plastic, and there it is. I think it is. Yeah, no, it's not showing up for some reason. I'm not sure why. So if you do know why, let me know, right? Okay, so we're going to go with hard plastic rough, and let's change the color. So we're going to bring that in, which is kind of in your face, if you know what I mean. Yeah. We're going to double click on this material, and we're going to pick this color and see what we can do here. And you can basically do whatever you want, but just to give you an idea that your product will look very, very, very different, right? Okay, so let's bring that down a little. Let's say that that is something you're okay with, right? Now, for a product presentation, that wouldn't be bad at all, right? Okay, So now what we're going to do next is we're going to look at our settings. So if we go to, let's see, lighting, right now we're at basic lighting, and what we want is to go to product lighting, right? So we're going to click on that. And if we look at environment lighting, it says ground shadow quality, self shadows. We're going to bump this up to about, I would say, 5. That's actually all the way, right? And we're going to go up here to environments. We're going to turn on occlusion ground shadows, and we're going to turn on the ground reflections, of course. And what we want to do here, because we're working on a vase, is we want to turn on caustics, right? So let me see where that was hidden again. Yeah, it's under lighting, right? So here you go, caustics. Okay. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this color, to be honest. It works well, I would say, but let's push that a little bit more towards something like this, right? Okay. So now that we have all that, let's look at our render settings, okay? So we're going to go up to our render tab, render. We're going to click on render here. And in my case, I am using my GPU, but if you go to render, you can go in here and you can choose how you want to set that up, right? Now, we're going to call this render vase. There you go. And let's see, I'm going to choose where I want to save it. Let's do that on my desktop. That should be fine. Let's see, I want this not to be a PNG. I want this to be a TIFF image. Include alpha? No, I don't want to do that. Preset as far as size is concerned, I'm happy with this size, so I'm going to leave it alone. You can render in layers if you like, right? I'm not going to do that, but you can. And you can also do a regional render if you just want to see a certain section, right? I think the shortcut for that is Control R, but not 100% sure. I'll look it up and I'll put it on the screen. Okay, so we want a still image, obviously. We don't want any of this stuff, yeah? Now let's go to the options. Do you want default mode, do you want background mode, or do you want a center network? This is all related to resource management. Default basically means that when you click on that, you're kind of waiting around for Keyshot to complete the render. Background, it will take longer, and you technically would be able to continue working on other things. I wouldn't recommend that, right? And network, if you have multiple systems in your network, then what you can do is kind of let the other computers take care of the render so you can continue working in Keyshot on this computer. Now, render engine, mine's grayed out because I have a dedicated GPU there. Let's see, samples. Now, I already told you about samples. Up here, for example, you see 52, 53 samples, and he's still working on it, right? It's not 100% clean or perfect just yet, so that number is going up and up and up. Now, we already have sample settings 3 times 16 on our lighting, right? So I guesstimated that based on experience, this is going to be around 230, right? Okay, now Q, here you can have multiple jobs. I'm not going to do that, but you can, right? So you can go in and say, well, I want this output, that output, I want multiple cameras, I want, I don't know, multiple materials, that kind of thing, and kind of run it in a batch. Let's say you want this vase, but you want it in 20 different colors with 20 different backgrounds. You can put it in a queue and it will take care of it. So we're going to go back here, the pixel filter size, 1.5, leave it at that, that's the default. And we're going to click on render. Here we go. All right, everybody. Well, there you go. Final render. I think it turned out okay, but more importantly, I hope that it was helpful for you guys. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, and if you enjoyed the video, you know what to do, right? Subscriptions are highly appreciated. See you guys in the next one. Bye.